Imagine a universe where humanity spans a million worlds, where gods are real and they want you dead, where hope is heresy and ignorance is salvation. Welcome to Warhammer 40,000, the most unrelentingly dark science fiction setting ever created. If you've heard about the God Emperor, seen memes about orcs believing harder, or wonder why everyone's screaming about heresy, you're in the right place. This isn't just another sci-fi universe. This is a gothic nightmare where there are no good guys, where every victory costs millions of lives, and where the Imperium of man's greatest weapon is its willingness to sacrifice everything. By the end of this video, you'll understand the factions, the history, and why fans can't stop talking about the grim darkness of the far future. Let's dive in. If you're new to Warhammer 40K, here's what you need to know. This is a tabletop war game created by Games Workshop in 1987, but it's evolved into something far bigger. A sprawling universe with hundreds of novels, video games, and one of the most dedicated fandoms in existence. The setting takes place roughly 38,000 years in our future, in the year 40,000 and beyond, hence the name. Unlike Star Trek's Optimistic Federation or Star Wars' Heroic Rebellion, Warhammer 40K asks a darker question. What if humanity's future was an endless war for survival against impossible odds? The tagline says it all. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Everything in this universe is deliberately over the top. Weapons the size of buildings, billion-strong armies. Planets destroyed as casualties of war. The setting draws from Gothic horror, World War I trenches, fascist imagery, religious zealotry, and cosmic horror. It's satire and sincerity blended together. Nothing is subtle. Everything is extreme. And that's entirely the point. Picture this. Earth, around the year 25,000. Humanity had spread across the stars, achieved technological wonders, and then lost everything. A catastrophic event called the Age of Strife saw mankind's interstellar empire collapse. Warp storms, tears in reality itself, isolated human worlds from each other, cut off from trade and support. Civilizations regressed. Some worlds fell to barbarism. Others were consumed by aliens. Many were simply lost. For 5,000 years, humanity teetered on the brink of extinction. Then he appeared, the Emperor of mankind, a being of immense psychic power who had secretly guided humanity for millennia, finally revealed himself. We don't know his real name. We don't know exactly what he is, though theories range from a gestalt of ancient shamans to humanity's evolutionary destiny made manifest. What we know is this. He was immortal, powerful beyond measure, and he had a vision for humanity's future. Around the year 30,000, written as M30 and 40K dating, the Emperor launched the Great Crusade. His goal: reunite humanity's scattered worlds under a single banner, the Imperium of man. But he couldn't do it alone. Using his own genetic material, the Emperor created 20 Primarchs, superhuman generals designed to lead his armies. These weren't just warriors. They were living weapons, each embodying different aspects of warfare and leadership. Leman Russ, the savage wolf king. Robert Gilliman, the master strategist. Sanguinius, the angelic perfectionist. Each Primarch commanded a legion of space marines, the Adeptus Astartes, genetically enhanced super soldiers created from the Primarch's own DNA. For 2 centuries, the Great Crusade was humanity's golden age. Millions of worlds joined the Imperium, either willingly or by force. The Emperor preached the imperial truth. There are no gods, only science and reason. Reject superstition. Embrace logic. Build a secular empire of mankind. Little did they know this would prove catastrophic. The The Emperor's greatest son was Horus, war master of the Imperium, first among the Primarchs. But pride, ambition, and the whispers of dark gods corrupted him. The Chaos gods, malevolent entities from the warp, offered Horus power, and he accepted. The Horus Heresy erupted. Half the Primarchs and their legions turned traitor, waging civil war against their brothers. The conflict was apocalyptic. Legions that fought side by side for centuries now slaughtered each other. Entire star systems burned. The war culminated at Terra itself, Earth, where Horus led his forces in a siege of the Imperial Palace. In the final confrontation, the Emperor faced Horus aboard his flagship. The details are lost to history, but the outcome is known. The Emperor killed his beloved son, but was mortally wounded in the process. His loyalists entombed him on the Golden Throne, a life support device that keeps his barely alive body functioning. For 10,000 years, the Emperor has sat immobile, neither fully alive nor truly dead. With the Emperor incapacitated and half the Primarchs dead or missing, the Imperium changed. The imperial truth was abandoned. The Emperor became the God Emperor, worshipped by trillions as humanity's divine protector. The ecclesiarchy, the imperial church, rose to power, enforcing religious dogma with fanatical zeal. The Inquisition was founded to root out heresy, mutation, and demonic corruption. Science became ritualized mystery. Innovation became heresy. The Imperium ossified into a totalitarian theocracy that would horrify the Emperor, who founded it. For 10 millennia, the Imperium has been slowly dying. It controls roughly 1 million worlds, but loses hundreds every year to alien invasion, rebellion, or chaos corruption. Bureaucracy stifles progress. The Administratum, the Imperium's administrative apparatus, is so vast that worlds can be lost in paperwork for centuries. This is the grim darkness. Humanity's empire is crumbling and there's no salvation coming. The Imperium is less a coherent government and more a galaxy-spanning nightmare held together by duct tape and religious fanaticism. At its heart is Terra, where the Emperor sits on the Golden Throne. His psychic presence powers the Astronomicon, a psychic lighthouse that allows ships to navigate the warp, the alternate dimension used for faster-than-light travel. Without it, interstellar civilization collapses. The Imperium's military forces are staggering in scale. The Astra Militarum, or Imperial Guard, fields billions of regular human soldiers, ordinary men and women armed with lost guns, dying in droves against horrors from nightmare. Then there are the Space Marines, organized into roughly 1,000 chapters of about 1,000 warriors each. These super soldiers are humanity's elite, but there aren't enough of them. The Adeptus Mechanicus maintains humanity's technology, worshipping machines as holy relics and guarding knowledge jealously. The Imperial Navy controls the void. The Adeptus Arbites enforces law. The list goes on. Here's what makes the Imperium disturbing. It's fascist, theocratic, and casually genocidal, yet it genuinely believes it's humanity's only hope for survival. And in this universe, it might be right. The warp isn't just a travel dimension. It's the realm of emotion and souls, and it's infested with chaos. The 4 chaos gods are born from mortal emotions amplified across trillions of sentient beings. Khorne, god of war, fed by rage and bloodshed. Nurgle, god of plague, sustained by despair and decay. Sench, god of change, powered by ambition and scheming. Slaanesh, god of excess, born from indulgence and sensation. Chaos corrupts everything it touches. Chaos Space Marines are the traitor legions from the Horus Heresy, now twisted into demonic parodies of their former glory. Some worship the dark gods deliberately. Others are simply damned. The Imperium's greatest fear is chaos because it turns humanity's own against them. A single cult on a world of billions can doom an entire planet. Did you know that time works differently in the warp? For the traitor legions, the Horus Heresy might have ended only decades ago, not 10,000 years. Some still with the scars from battles at Terra, fighting an eternal war against a father they believe betrayed them. The galaxy is infested with alien species, each a threat to humanity's survival. The orcs are a race of green-skinned warriors who exist only for war. They're biologically engineered weapons from a long-dead empire, reproducing through spores and growing larger the more they fight. Their technology works because they believe it works. A truck painted red goes faster, because orcs think red is a fast color. This isn't a joke. Their collective psychic field makes belief reality. The biggest orc becomes a boss, and when enough orcs gather, they form a Wyack, a galaxy-threatening crusade of violence. The Tyranids are worse. Imagine a locust swarm that devours entire worlds, but each locust is the size of a tank and equipped with bioweapons. The Tyranids are an extragalactic hive mind that consumes all biomass, leaving dead rocks in their wake. They adapt instantly to threats, evolving new weapons and organisms within hours. The terrifying truth? The Tyranid fleets we've encountered are just scouting forces. The main swarm is still coming. The Eldari, once called Eldar, were the galaxy's dominant empire until their own decadence birthed Slaanesh and destroyed their civilization. Now they're a dying race, every soul precious because when they die, Slaanesh consumes them. They manipulate other races to preserve themselves, seeing humans as crude upstarts. The Drukhari, their dark cousins, raid real space from their twisted dimension, torturing captives to stave off soul death.
The Necrons are ancient machines, former flesh and blood beings who transferred their consciousness into metal bodies 60 million years ago. They slept through humanity's rise and are now awakening, reclaiming a galaxy they believe belongs to them. They command technology that makes human weapons look like stone axes. The Tau Empire preaches a greater good, cooperation between species for mutual benefit. In the grimdark universe, this makes them almost comedically optimistic. They're the newest major power, expanding through diplomacy and superior technology. The Imperium sees them as naive at best, insidious at worst. Why do millions of people love a setting this relentlessly dark? Because Warhammer 40K understands something profound. When everything is terrible, the smallest act of heroism matters more. An Imperial guardsman standing against a Tyranid swarm with nothing but a lost gun and prayer isn't delusional. They're genuinely heroic because they fight despite knowing the odds. The Imperium is a cautionary tale about fascism, religious extremism, and bureaucratic decay. But it's also a genuine attempt to survive in a universe actively trying to kill humanity. There's no Federation coming to save you. No Jedi with laser swords. Just trillions of humans grinding through endless war, because the alternative is extinction. Some fans miss that 40K is satire, treating the Imperium's propaganda at face value. But the setting works precisely because it shows the cost of such extremism. Imagine being on Cadia, a fortress world that stood for 10,000 years as the gate against chaos invasions from the Eye of Terror. When the 13th Black Crusade finally broke through in M41, Cadia's defenders fought even as their planet literally shattered beneath them. Cadia stands became a rallying cry, not because the planet survived, it didn't, but because its people never surrendered. Fragments of Cadia still orbit in space, crawling with defenders fighting on in the ruins. Or consider the siege of Terra during the Horus Heresy. The Imperial Palace's defenders held the Eternity Gate against endless waves of traitors and demons. Sanguinius, the most beloved pre-march. Face the demon pre-march Kabanda on the walls. Exhausted, wounded, wings broken, Sanguinius still fought because behind him were the citizens he'd sworn to protect. That's 40K in microcosm, doomed heroism in the face of overwhelming darkness. The Orphean War showed the Imperium's brutality. When the Necrons awakened on dozens of worlds in the Orpheus sector, the Imperium couldn't risk them spreading. The solution? Exterminatus. Planetary annihilation. Dozens of worlds were virus-bombed, cyclonic torpedoed, or subjected to atmospheric incineration. Billions of loyal Imperial citizens died because the alternative was worse. That's the calculus of 40K. There are no good choices, only terrible necessities. Warhammer 40K has transcended its origins as a tabletop game. The meme culture alone is incredible. Brother, get the flamer, the heavy flamer, for dealing with heresy. For the Emperor as a universal battle cry. The endless jokes about orcs and their reality-warping belief. These memes introduce new fans daily, but they're surface level compared to the genuine depth available. The Black Library novels offer some of the best military science fiction ever written. Dan Abnett's Gaunt's Ghost series follows an Imperial Guard regiment through decades of war, humanizing the nameless billions who fight and die. Aaron Dembski-Bowden's Night Lords trilogy makes you sympathize with traitor space marines. Graham McNeil's Mechanicum explores the Martian Civil War during the Horus Heresy. These aren't tie-in novels. They're genuinely excellent literature. The timeline recently advanced for the first time in decades of real-world publication. In the current timeline, M42, roughly the year 42,000, everything changed. Abaddon the Despoiler, War Master Chaos, and successor to Horus, finally succeeded in his 13th Black Crusade. The Cicatrix Maledictum, also called the Great Rift, tore across the galaxy, a massive warp storm that cut the Imperium in half. Millions of worlds on the dark side of the rift are isolated, besieged by demons and worse. But there's a twist. Robert Gilliman, pre-march of the Ultramarines, has returned. Mortally wounded 10,000 years ago and kept in stasis, he was resurrected by Eldari and the Emperor's own power. Gilliman now leads the Indomitus Crusade, reconquering lost worlds of the Primaris Space Marines, a new, improved generation of Astartes. For the first time in millennia, the Imperium is advancing instead of merely surviving. Some fans love this development. Finally, hope in the grimdark. Others worry it undermines the setting's themes. While not confirmed, many fans believe Games Workshop is setting up the return of more Primarchs, both loyalist and traitor. The Lion, pre-march of the Dark Angels, has already awakened. Rumors swirl about Russ, Khan, Korix, and Vulcan returning from their own mysterious disappearances. What is the Emperor's plan? Is he even conscious on the Golden Throne, or just a psychic beacon? Some theories suggest he's playing a vast, millennia-long game, deliberately allowing the Imperium suffering to fuel his own apotheosis as a true god. Others believe he's trapped, screaming silently as he watches his dream corrupted into nightmare. The Tyranids remain terrifying. If the current fleets are scouts, what happens when the main Hive fleet arrives? Could any power in the galaxy resist them? Some fans theorize the Tyranids are fleeing something even worse, which is a disturbing thought. The Necron Silent King has returned from extragalactic exile, seeking a way to restore his people's flesh. His alliance with the Blood Angels against Tyranids suggests desperate times ahead. So, where do you start with Warhammer 40K? Here's the truth. Start anywhere that interests you. Love heroic soldiers? Read Gaunt's Ghost or play Space Marine 2. Fascinated by super soldiers? Dive into Horus Heresy novels starting with Horus Rising. Want cosmic horror? Eisenhorn follows an inquisitor into darkness. Prefer tabletop gaming? Pick a faction that resonates and start building an army. What makes Warhammer 40K endure isn't just the battles or the impressive miniatures. It's the themes. Duty in the face of futility. Sacrifice for others when hope is gone. The question of whether survival justifies any atrocity. These are deeply human concerns wrapped in power armor and chainsaw swords. Remember this. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. But there's also loyalty, brotherhood, and a defiant human spirit refusing to go quietly into extinction. The Imperium is terrible, but its citizens fighting to protect each other are not. That's the heart of 40K. Finding meaning in a meaningless universe. Fighting not because you can win, but because surrender means oblivion. Next time, we'll dive deep into the Horus Heresy itself. How the Emperor's perfect crusade became the Imperium's greatest tragedy. Until then, the Emperor protects. Subscribe for more deep 40K lore, and remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. But there's also endless stories worth telling.